Anubis is known as the guide. But who was guiding him? This episode uncovers the hidden hand that shaped the destiny of the god of the dead.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving into a really fascinating source today. Anubis. Prayers for hope and abundance. Now, just the title itself, it suggests this interesting mix, doesn't it? You got high spiritual aims, hope, right alongside very practical, very earthy requests for abundance. So our mission here is to look closely at these prayers, these requests. We want to get a handle on the scope of faith people directed towards Anubis. But, right away, there's a kind of theological puzzle here. Anubis, traditionally, he's the god of embalming, guiding the dead, the underworld journey. So why are people praying to him for living well now, for thriving?
That really is the core question, isn't it? And this source material, it basically reframes how we might think about that relationship. It gives us a sort of blueprint for how devotees sought the successful life, not just in the afterlife, but here and now too. And it starts by setting the scene, mentioning the Temple of Hope.
The Temple of Hope.
Yeah, and it specifically calls it a place for blessings. So right there, it's not just about death rites. It's positioned as a center for divine help, for positive outcomes in life. And to tackle that paradox you mentioned, if Anubis guarantees your safe passage after death, well, maybe the quality of your life before death really matters for that process.
Okay.
It sort of implies you need stability, you need some success on Earth, maybe even prosperity to ensure that smooth transition and your eternal legacy. You don't just trip and fall into a good afterlife.
That reframing is, that's crucial. It shifts Anubis from just being a psychopomp, a guide for the dead, into something much broader, like a patron for your whole existence almost.
Pretty much.
So if this temple is the place for blessings, the source then talks about the first action, the call for favor. And it stresses that devotees directly ask Anubis. They're not just hoping passively. It's direct, focused, aimed at changing things, like material things right now.
Exactly. And when they do ask, what are they asking for? It boils down to the most immediate, sort of fundamental human needs. The source points to two main things. First, the prayers of well-being. Basically, they ask for health.
Health makes sense.
And second, the promise of abundance, which means they're asking for wealth, for prosperity, for material success.
It really strikes me how practical these are. They're not asking for deep cosmic secrets or anything.
No, not at all.
It's like, I need to be healthy enough to function, to work, and I need money, wealth to support myself, my family, maybe make offerings, maintain status.
Absolutely. And what's really fascinating is how it balances that immediate survival need, health, physical vitality, with the need for, economic security. It's almost like the devotee is saying, look, for me to keep honoring you properly, I need to be thriving. Health keeps the body going, sure, but wealth, that helps sustain the whole system. It ensures the devotee can actually afford to give offerings, to participate in the cult, to keep that relationship strong. And if you think about the bigger picture, wealth wasn't just personal gain. It meant family stability. It meant ensuring you could afford the proper burial rites later on.
Okay, so even the request for abundance loops back to Anubis's core domain in a way.
Exactly. It's all interconnected. It shows this really holistic view where Anubis cares about the devotee's ability to function fully in this life, partly because it impacts the next.
That makes the plea for wealth seem much less like simple greed. It's more about asking for the resources needed to fulfill your duties, both social and spiritual, and secure your own future, your legacy.
Precisely.
So they're actively calling for favor, asking for these fundamental things. How do they manage their side of the bargain? How do they keep that relationship going? Now, we shift from what they ask for to what they do. The sources talk about how they honor Anubis, things like the offering of gifts, that's how they show things. And also the sacred gestures, specific ritual actions they perform to show respect, to honor him.
And these actions are absolutely key. They show it's a relationship built on respect and, frankly, a kind of transaction. It's not just one-way asking. The gifts, the gestures, the devotee holding up their end, they're acknowledging the god's power, saying, I see the help you give and I appreciate it. I'll continue to honor you.
It's like maintaining the connection.
Right. The source kind of implies that this ongoing active thanks, this demonstration of loyalty, is what keeps the divine favor flowing. It's an investment. You offer thanks, you perform the gestures, and you reinforce your commitment, hoping Anubis stays committed to your well-being.
It sounds quite strategic, actually, like managing your divine account balance.
In a way, yes.
And speaking of needing immediate help, of getting returns on that investment, The sources then circle back to something really urgent: protection. And here's where it gets really interesting for me. Because even after asking for health and wealth, basic stability, there's still this clear need for immediate safety. The source mentions the protective circle. It says they specifically seek his aid for defense, for safety from threats, real present dangers in their lives.
Yeah, the need for that kind of active defense tells you a lot about how they saw the world, doesn't it?
It does.
Even if you have a powerful patron god, the world is still seen as, well, dangerous, unpredictable, full of threats, maybe illness, maybe accidents, maybe even human enemies. So the devotee needs someone actively guarding them, keeping them safe now. And Anubis, as one who guards that boundary between life and death, that liminal space, he's actually perfectly positioned for that role.
The ultimate guardian.
Kind of. So the protective circle, it's like asking for a spiritual shield, a magical barrier. It directly links their devotional acts, the thanks, the honor, to expecting tangible safety in return. Right here, right now. It's like divine insurance for daily life.
So let's see. We've covered the basics for survival, really. Foundational health, economic stability, and immediate physical protection.
The essentials.
But the relationship, the prayers, they don't stop there, do they? The source then moves beyond those immediate needs. It gets into requests about existence itself, about lasting impact.
Exactly. The focus really broadens out here. It moves from just how you live day to day to the overall quality, the duration, the meaning of your whole life path. We see references to the blessing of life, where they seek his help.
Okay, but wait. If they already prayed for well-being, which is health, what does this blessing of life add? What more are they asking for?
That's a great question. Here, life seems to imply something more than just not being sick. It suggests continuity, maybe longevity, vitality, influence.
Like flourishing.
Yes, flourishing, the success of your projects, the continuation of your family line, your reputation. It's the difference between just being alive and having a life that, matters, that leaves a mark. They're asking Anubis not just to keep them alive, but to grant them a life worth remembering.
So seeking significance, not just survival. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And that idea leads right into what seems like the ultimate spiritual goal in this source, the legacy of hope. The source is very clear here. It says, his is their hope. Anubis becomes the anchor for their sustained faith, not just for temporary fixes, but for something truly lasting. This feels like the big payoff for all the prayers and offerings.
I think you're right. And if you connect that back to Anubis's primary role, guiding souls, dealing with the afterlife, then this legacy of hope becomes absolutely central. It's about immortality, isn't it?
How so?
Well, the ultimate hope is that you won't just disappear, that your name, your deeds, they'll be remembered, that your spiritual self, your ba or aka, will endure the final judgment. So devotion to Anubis becomes the mechanism, the pathway they use to try and ensure their time on Earth translates into eternal memory and a positive outcome after death.
So they're trusting the God who oversees the end to secure their continuation.
Precisely. The health, the wealth, the protection, those were almost the prerequisites. You needed those to build the life that could then become a lasting legacy. This deeper dive shows the whole system is really geared towards permanence, towards meaningful remembrance.
And that deep desire for permanence seems locked in by the final reference mentioned, an eternal prayer. The source says, his blessing lasts. So what does that tell us? It's not just asking for a one-off favor. This isn't a temporary contract.
Not at all.
It's an ongoing, perpetual relationship. A commitment, a connection that really defines their whole existence, from daily life right up to the tomb.
Yeah, if you take a step back and look at the whole picture this source gives us, it reveals a remarkably sophisticated and complete theology of need and fulfillment. They cover everything. From the really urgent, immediate needs, physical safety, financial stability, through that active reciprocal relationship of giving thanks and showing honor. Right up to the most profound hopes for life itself, for meaning, and for ensuring a lasting spiritual legacy.
So the God of the dead
is actually, for these devotees, the God who guarantees life. A successful life, an honorable life, one that allows for that smooth transition he oversees and ensures you're remembered.
Wow. Okay, so this deep dive into Anubis, prayers for hope and abundance, it's really shed light on that initial paradox, hasn't it?
I think so.
We've seen the incredible range of their faith, from asking for very tangible things like wealth and health, through those vital actions of offering gifts and performing rituals, all the way up to this powerful idea of securing an eternal prayer, a lasting legacy. It really is a complete blueprint for spiritual survival and significance.
It is. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? It forces us to reflect on what truly drove their faith. So here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to consider based on what we've seen in the source. Given that the protective rituals address immediate daily threats to your very survival, while the prayers for legacy address the ultimate threat of oblivion, of non-existence, which desire do you think was truly the most powerful, the most enduring for the devotee? Was it the request for immediate aid, that protective circle against today's dangers?
Oh.
Or was it the pursuit of the legacy of hope, the thing that defines who they would be potentially for all eternity? Which fear, which hope ultimately ran deeper? That's something this material really leaves you wondering about.